What's a jukebox?
You know what? That first time I heard that song, Winston, was on 680. That
680 News?
No, not 680 News. 680 CFTR.
Oh.
That was, I mean, that
Before
was
it was a
the
news
station in the day, okay? And Jukebox Hero from Foreigner's album 4. You know that was Foreigner?
No.
Are you aware of Foreigner? Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so Winston yesterday was talking to me about how we got along before social media back in the day.
Yeah, so we're talking about what's foreign to him because he just wasn't around.
So we went to the library, says Angie. No Google. Have you been to ever?
Yes.
I mean, back in school, you went to a library, right?
Yeah, we had a library in school.
Do you know what the Dewey Decimal System is?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, like 927.628 brings you to whatever section. I had a library card, but it kept expiring on me, so I just stopped. I have
Did
my
you ever
iPad.
have to look up like microfiche in the library in order to put together an... No? Okay,
No.
yeah, that was always a good
Have you ever read a newspaper off of a wooden stick?
Yes, I
have. Sarge says, we had to go to the bank on Friday because there's no machines and they closed early on Fridays and you had no banks on the weekend.
See, I was in Halifax the other day, last week, and on Sunday, everything was closed, and it was the strangest feeling, like there was nothing open.
I was
trying to find a bank. I couldn't find a bank.
It was very European of us.
But then you said to me...
I didn't know that.
You said banks were closed on weekends? I mean, now we see the generations here.
Yeah, well, what happens if, let's say, you have a job where you're away Monday to Friday, and then you're back here and you need cash on the weekend?
You had no choice. You had to get to a bank. Plus, you had to bring in your bank book, which was about this size.
Thick.
And you had to bring it to the cashier, and then they would update what's in your account for you.
And it's amazing to think that, how did they manage without computers? All of your information, all of your files, that is mind-blowing to me.
They do it the way doctors do it now. They just have papers.
Tons of files.
Doctors still haven't come into the century. We had to wait for, okay, this one's going back a bit. It's going into some rural areas. We had to wait for someone else to get off the phone because we had a party line. So if you were out in rural areas especially, you shared one phone line with the people.
Crazy.
You shared one phone line.
What if one person was a chatty Cathy who could talk for 5 hours on end?
Oh my gosh, yes. I remember some of my cousins had a party line. And there would be people who would talk incessantly all day. There was a different
crying
there was
at
a
the
different
absurdity
ring.
of this.
There was a different ring for each house, and depending on the ring, you didn't answer it if it was somebody else's ring because it was another house.
Interesting.
But you would quite often
I didn't know that.
listen in.
No.
Yes.
You could listen in on somebody's conversation?
Open. When I was a kid and had internet, I had dial-up internet, and we had to get these little filters on our internet because we couldn't be on the phone and be on the internet at the same time.
Don't you love technology?
Okay, someone just sent me this picture. I'm just going to put it up. I'm just going to put it up, I hope, on Apple TV here
Throwback.
for you. Can we, Barb?
Let's ask Winston to guess what that is.
Do you see what this is? Oh, and look what's on it, too. Can you see that, Barb, on Apple TV?
Winston,
there we go. What's that?
Can you guess what this is?
Is that a car?
Yes, it's in a car.
Yes, it is. Okay,
oh, it's
very
a
good.
cassette tape.
It's an 8-track, my friend.
Oh.
By the way, why was it called an 8-track?
Because it was recorded on 8 different tracks on that tape
I knew
you
you would
saw.
know. I can never stump them.
But it had 4 channels, right, Paul?
Yeah, 2 tracks.
It was yeah, and it had 4. It had different.
It didn't last long though. The cassette tape took over the 8-track real quick.
Let me take a look at that picture again. Let me see if I can zoom into that, and you can actually see.
Winston, have you ever used a cassette tape?
Yeah. We had a cassette tape. We had an Oldsmobile as our family car, and we had a cassette tape player in there.
Yeah.
This is Glenn Campbell, by the way, in the 8-track.
You
can see it right there.
Look at the size of that thing. You needed a whole trunk just for your 8-tracks.
Every time your car hit a bump, it would skip to the next channel.
Yeah, but that was a huge thing because before that, people really only had the radio because then people were listening to records. So you can't bring vinyl into the car, clearly.
Going to the LCBO, yes, the LCBO, and again, it was not open on most weekends. You didn't actually see the bottles; they were in a back room. You just saw a list.
Much like cigarettes, yes.
Yeah, you saw a list, and then you wrote down on a paper and you brought it to the clerk.
Kind of like the beer store, though. The beer store used to do that.
Used to do that, yes, you're right. The other one that I found interesting was we were talking about charge cards, and the reason this conversation sparked is starting today in Canada, Apple Pay is a reality. You're paying with your phone.
With your phone and your fingerprint.
Whenever you used a credit card, especially ChargeX, which is the precursor to Visa, before they would use it, they had a list of all the stolen credit cards in Canada.
That they had to go
And they
through.
had to go through the entire list to see if your card
If you're in a
was on
rush
that
to get
list.
that Christmas item, you better not wait till Christmas Eve, because it's going to take them forever to make sure you're authorized.
All right.
We've come a long way, baby.
Breakfast television is now in color.
Do not adjust your set.
It's really sad that I remember commercials where it said, you know, show coming up in color. We'll be right back on Breakfast Television. Stay tuned.
I don't remember that.